I decided that it was time to help you guys out with this Math 3 project, so thought I'd make a little idea of some stuff that you can do to help out. So regardless of whether you want to do the written or the PowerPoint or any of the others, you basically have to do the same type of stuff. Okay. The first thing is you're going to compare some equations here. Okay. In there, you know, the forms that we learned them with all of them. To help you out with all of this, you want to go to desmos.com and click on the calculator, and this is really going to help you out, and I'll show you some ways that you can compare all of these and take a look at them to help you as you're talking about all this information. So first thing when you get there, you want to notice is that on the right side, right there, we've got the little tool. Now I usually like to have it in projector mode. If you need to change your X and Y axis, you can. However, you can also, if you're using a tablet, just pinch in and out to zoom in and out. If you're using a computer with a mouse, you can scroll in and out. Okay? But the first thing you want to do is you want to write an equation like that one. Okay? Using all those variables just like that. Notice that it wants you to add a slider. Okay? You would click all, and you would add all these sliders. Okay? This is what's going to make this really powerful and easy to use. Okay? So this, that's our linear equation. And so you want to write down your linear, your quadratic, your cubic, your quartic, and your radical. And the radical you can find, there's a little dashboard, keyboard that comes up. I guess I forgot to take a picture of that. Okay, but if you write them all using that same format, okay, these sliders will work for all of them. Okay, couldn't speak there for a second. So you can graph them all together like this, and then move them around to help you as you are, talking about these ideas up here. Or you could do them all separately. And the way you do them separately is by clicking on those circles over there. See, that one's been turned on, whereas the rest are turned off. And you could go through each one and kind of see how they change, how they move, how the A variable affects them, how the H, how the K. Because that's what you're getting at, how those three variables affect everything. That's kind of the breakdown of what you're doing here and how that affects each function and how that is related to one another. Okay? And so that's kind of the example. What happens when A is less than 0? What happens when it's greater than 0? If it's not equal to 0, okay? What's going on with A? What is it? And what happens to your graphs? Okay? Now the second part is dealing with rationals, and this one's actually really cool to look at. I wish we would have had it in class. Okay? So once you're done with all that, you can erase them, and then you're going to write this guy in. I know it looks really complex, but it's really not that bad. Okay? And when it asks you to add sliders, yeah, you want sliders for D, A, B, and C. Then notice these guys down here. Okay, you want to put those down because that is going to help you out with your asymptotes. You can see the dotted lines I did. And if you want to do a dotted line, just hit that button there and then click on the circles, and you can change the color and you can change the dotted line. And this point, so all three of these, as you adjust your rational function with these, it's going to adjust everything along with it. Okay? And so that's going to deal with that's going to help you as you look at your vertical asymptote, your horizontal, the holes, the x-intercept, the general shape and direction. Okay? Now, the one that's kind of weird is the holes. All the rest are pretty apparent as we look at it. Okay? All pretty apparent here. Your vertical asymptote, horizontal asymptote, your x-intercept, the general shape, okay? And it's all based off these pieces, right? But the holes, these ones right there, they're tough to see. So if you want, you can do this, where you make another line, but that looks like a vertical asymptote, and it really doesn't tell us what's going on right there. But if you click on the rational function and actually, like press down with your mouse, and you scroll down to that where a is equal to, it'll say undefined in it. That's kind of how you see that one. Okay, that can help you understand how manipulating these, changing these pieces, which pieces actually deal with what type of parts of the rational. Okay, so that'll help you again with that stuff. Okay, so we're moving right along, right? Now we're going to deal with some polynomials, right? Remember, like the birthday polynomial? So we need to know about the bouncing, passing through, the multiplicities, and the end behavior. Well, we can do that just as easy. So if we go back, okay, and this is how you're going to want to write it. You're going to want to write it like this, okay, in that factored form, and make those powers your variables, and you're going to create sliders for them. And then, based off the numbers, evens and odds, you can see how they're affecting your line, how it crosses, how it passes. Okay, you can manipulate them and try to understand, look for those patterns in how it's hitting the x-axis or going through. And that helps for the multiplicities and how it touches the x-axis. Okay, if you want to make one, like this one I have here is quadratic because my power is 2. But for the polynomials, if you're looking for end behavior, right, if they go up as we go to the right or the left, or if they go down as we go to the right or the left, create a simple one like that, then every time you move that up, you're getting a higher degree polynomial. And the b, mess around, make it negative, make it positive, see what that does to your end behavior. Okay, you can get a little more crazy and add some stuff back here if you really want to try to get a different cool looking shape. But remember, we're not so concerned with the middle part. We're wondering what's happening as I go to right to positive infinity, as I go to the left to negative infinity. Is it going up to positive, down to negative? What's happening? Okay, so there's that information. So going back here, we can see, okay, we've touched on all those functions. Okay, we talked about the rationals, and we are also dealt with the polynomials. Okay, so really the last thing to look at is logs and exponentials. Okay, so again, all this information here was for just comparing those, how the a, the h, the k affects them. This was the rationals, right? Make sure you have, hit pause so you can get those typed in well. Okay, the rationals and how it affected your graph there. Probably should get you that one. That one looks better, has everything in it. Okay, so you can use that for the rationals and manipulate it. Okay, move it around and see what happens. Explore it. Okay, then we use these ones for the multiplicities. How does it cross that x-axis? How's it affecting that? Then we've got, that's still multiplicities, right? Okay, so that's what you'll want to write for those ones. Then this for the end behavior, or get a little crazy or something like that. Okay, for the end behavior. So for the logs, when you pull up, I guess here's a good shot of the keyboard. If you need more variables or letters, you hit that button. You've got your radical, your equals, your operations, numbers. This will let you do any sort of power. This will just do a squared, your x, your y, parentheses. But if you need to get something different, okay, if you click over here on functions, okay, it'll start up with trig. So if you wanted to play around with the trig stuff we've dealt with, by all means go for it. Or stats, or what we want is miscellaneous. And within that miscellaneous, we can see, okay, that we've got the log there. That's the natural log, log base 10, and log base where you get to choose the base. Okay, so there's some stuff you can use there to help you, and you choose that in the functions right here. Okay, so using that, I was able to type in my two logs, and I chose to go with the same base for both of them. you can play around with that. I also made this because I remembered that these two are inverses, and so they're reflected over that line. So I made that line and made it dotted. And so you can look at that. If you wanted to, you could even, using those sliders, write something like y equals b to the x log base b of x and make a slider and see how that affects things. That would be pretty cool. I didn't really do that. But by all means, play around with those and write that stuff. So that should get you all the information you needed. Okay. So help you get that. Looking at this information. Talk about the A, the H, and the K for that. Talk about all these pieces, connect them to the part of the graph. Okay. On the rationals, talk about how they, the multiplicities affected, how they, I'm not spelling this right probably, how they affected it going through the x-axis, the end behavior. Okay, and then compare and contrast, look at those, an exponential with a logarithm. Okay, and honestly, to me, if you're using Desmos, you can take screenshots of all that cool stuff to help your explanation, and I think that visual presentation would be a lot easier. Okay, less words, more pictures. That's always good in math. But if you're using the paper, do that. If you're doing anything else, that's going to be kind of tough to visually do that. So you'll have to figure out how you're going to explain it. So there we go, guys. Once again, kind of go through everything. If you need to pause it anywhere, now would be the time to pause it. So make sure you're working on this and get it turned in. Shouldn't be too bad, I think, once you're using that Desmos to help you out. A great tool. On a phone, it's going to be kind of hard to manipulate, but you can still do it. Take screenshots. That's what I did on my iPad. Or, on the computer would work as well. Use that website. Just remember Desmos.com, then click on the big red button, because that'll get you your calculator. I have had students that couldn't find the calculator portion. So, there you guys go. Good luck with it. Come in and talk to me if you need any more help.